If you don't know the person that I'm actually speaking to, folks, her name is Angelique Francis. She is approximately 24 years old, but her voice really doesn't make her sound 24. In fact, she makes me feel very, very old compared in comparison. You've started, technically, your career started at the age of 7, where you sang "Oh Canada" at I think it was the inauguration of your new high school, was it?
Yes, actually, it was the foundation of my new elementary school.
And you were surrounded by music, mostly because of your parents. Your dad is a successful recording artist, or recording studio. I know he has a studio,
Yes,
which
he
you
does.
use to your advantage. Your mother was a big influence, and then there's you influencing your siblings, as far as I can tell. Now, out of everything that you've actually decided to pursue, music, singing, and songwriting was one of the big ones that you decided to actually put on the pedestal and say, "This is the goal that I'm going to be succeeding at, and there's no one stopping me from doing it." So you started off learning piano, from what I've gathered.
Yes, yes, I did.
Okay.
Um, and my parents were very supportive in my decision to pursue music as a career, but they did have a lot of rules if we were to proceed in that path. And so, one of them was to maintain good grades, an A average. And then they also said, in order to be successful as a musician, you're going to have to learn a lot of different skills to be multifaceted.
Hmm.
So they said, you need to learn an instrument. First, you learn the piano, then you learn the acoustic guitar, and then you can learn whatever instrument you want, because those are the sort of instruments that can allow you to accompany yourself, to compose, and it makes it easier for you to reach out into other areas of music as well.
And from there, you started learning other musical instruments, harmonica, keyboards, and I know I'm missing a few. There's the electric stand-up bass and the or upright bass and the um, acoustic upright bass.
Yes, I do play the electric bass guitar and the upright bass as well. Um, and as you mentioned, I also play keys and electric guitar, acoustic guitar, blues harmonica. Those are the instruments that I play at my show, but I play others as well.
Have you dabbled with any horns, perchance?
I did dabble with a few horns, but now I leave it up to my sisters. I have some wonderful horn players in our band. So in the Angelique Francis band, we have Corinthia Francis on baritone sax, alto sax, tenor sax, Kira Francis on trombone, and then we also have an amazing trumpet player, Ed Lister, that plays as well. And so I try to we try to do as many things as we can, and it's kind of hard for me to play bass and horns at the same time. So I stick with harmonica for the higher range of things.
Now, you've so far released 2 albums.
Yes.
First one was Kiss of Blues, or
Yes,
Kissed by the
Kissed by the
Blues,
Blues.
actually.
Yeah.
And then that one was considered an EP. And then we've got the newest one, Long River, which is the LP. And there's quite a lot of difference between both albums, style wise and also in quantity. So,
Yeah. Well, it's actually kind of interesting. Kissed by the Blues is actually a full length album.
okay.
The funny thing about Kissed by the Blues is even though there's only 8 songs, the songs themselves are quite long. And so yeah, so each one of them is actually a long album. I did have an EP before that, but it wasn't available for digital release, and it was called Tuition Blues. And now we have I was still in university trying to get everything paid and stuff.
Uh,
And now with Long River is my most recent release. And there's quite a few differences, but I really think that the similar kind of feels is more of like a continuation. Every piece of music that we release is interconnected in some way.
it is, but I actually enjoyed everything, including the one single that stands out. The I can't remember the song. It's the one where you are multiples of yourself in the video, and it's all a cappella. The only musical instrument is the bass drum that you're actually holding on one side, and you're accompanying yourself singing it about being independent and not to depend on a man. uh, and then there's, but this is considered what's it called, an intermission song, because
Yes,
it's
it's
only
a
55 seconds long, but its length itself is subdued by the actual work that you do by singing and by building a chant that gets picked up by the other the other Angelique Francis in the actual video, because you've got some that clap, you've got the two lounging ones that suddenly pick up and give the kind of a chorus feel in regards to giving you some intonations. Um, and then and that's on the new album, folks. It's on Long River. And the one that I actually had a hard time listening to because I couldn't stop laughing was Snow Rage. So I, the lyrics that you wrote were actually quite funny, uh,
thank you.
because it's true up to a certain degree, but there's certain bits and pieces that get frozen, unfortunately, for men and women. It's worth a listen, folks. But tell me, how long did it take you to actually make Long River?
Well, Long River and every piece of music that we put out is really a process that has been going on for a very long time and also a very short amount of time. And so even though I started performing as a performing musician when I was 7 years old, I've always been writing songs. Always, always, always. It was a way that I learned to express myself and communicate and help me grow as a person. And so the hardest part about making an album for me is actually choosing which songs that we present. So all the songs um have either been written or they're last minute songs that we just come off on the fly, because it's really natural for us and for my team, for the Angelique Francis band, to make this music. And so I think the longest part about creating this album is that it was actually supposed to come out in 2020, in the summer of 2020. But of course, with the pandemic and pandemic restrictions, you can't have six people recording simultaneously in an enclosed space. You couldn't have
Mm,
that when we were producing this album. And so a lot of the songs had to be done asynchronously and remotely. And so it kind of changed some of the dynamic of the songs that are very,
mhm.
improvisational in nature, and some of them aren't steady in rhythm. They increase in rhythm, they increase in feel. And so throughout 2020 to when it came out a few months ago, that that time, most of the time was really spent on trying to capture that live feeling, but
Mhm.
only through digital recordings. But it was
So,
really, really fun to make this project.
so basically, file sharing.
File sharing, but then also when things opened up a little bit more, we would get some of the other musicians, Ed Lister, Dave Williamson, to come in to our recording studio and record as well. And then
Okay.
the amazing part about having a lot of the members of my band be members of my family. We were in the same, social isolation circles. And so we were still able to record a lot of these things in real time.
Mhm.
But getting in the guitar and some keys instruments and the trumpet, it was really hard to capture the full natural progression of certain songs without being live. But we were able to do it in a really beautiful manner.
And that was done for what, 6 months, or was it a full year of work to actually get the album out?
I would say it's hard to say because there were certain things that we were able to do. So maybe around, 6 months, but there's different aspects to coming out with an album. There's the production side, there's photo shoots, there's promotional work, music videos, and all that stuff. And they could all kind of
Hmm.
blend into one. But the actual music making, it could be, I think if we jammed everything, the recording aspect and the mixing and mastering, we did everything in like 2 months. But getting it, because it was so spaced out with what restrictions were allowing, it,
Hmm.
stretched out. It could have been around 6 months for the whole production process.
Wow. Now I'm, assu- I'm assuming too much here, but did you actually do the recording with your father's studio, or was it done with other studios outside?
It was done with my father's studio, and then as well we hired some session musicians for some of the songs. So with them, they recorded in their own studio spaces, or they worked with local studios for their region. But
Okay.
most of the majority of the album was recorded in my father's studio.
Okay. Now this particular album is probably what you're going to be touring because it literally released very recently. And I know you're going to Europe. How excited are you about this particular tour? From what I gathered, I think you're starting on the 4th of June.
Yes, I'm very excited to be headed over. On the 4th of June, I'll be playing the Grolsch Blues Festival in Germany. Very excited because we were supposed to go again in like 2020. So it's been a while, and I'm really happy that we were able to resume activities. We've been very, very busy this year,
Yeah,
performing across North America and Europe.
and you're going to be busy in Canada as well because you've got legs of the tour that go all the way to. It's mostly Eastern Canada, from what I've been able to say. I know that you're hitting the Montreal Jazz Festival this year,
Yes.
which is a big event. Hopefully, we'll get you over at the Harvest Festival in Fredericton that used to be the Harvest Jazz and Blues, but they rebranded under Harvest. So,
Oh yes, it's really great to be back at the Montreal Jazz Festival again. I think we played in around 2019, and actually we did play at the Harvest Jazz and Blues Festival in the fall of 2019. So right before the
I
pandemic
just
hit. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much around the same time that the Maple Blues was actually giving you accolades and indicating that you were an up and coming, very talented musician, singer, songwriter, and that you were representing the blues in so many beautiful ways. And then you got pictures taken. You appeared in umpteenth amount of magazines that actually showcased who you were, where you came from, what you did. And I unfortunately discovered by doing research that I wasn't even aware of you coming down to New Brunswick, and you went with David Miles and a whole bunch of other people at the paddle festival, and I'm going, oh no, I missed that. But at the very least, you came to New Brunswick. Hopefully, we'll have you again in the years to come. Uh, Now, when you're going to be touring, is it going to be the Angelique Francis band that's going to make appearances?
Yes, it will be the Angelique Francis band. We come in very many different variations. It can go anywhere from a 4-piece to like a 10-piece, but most often this summer you'll see us as a 6-piece. So it'll be myself on upright bass, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and blues harmonica. Then you have Corinthia Francis on saxophones, Kira Francis on trombone, Kieran Francis on drums, Dave Williamson on lead electric guitar, and Ed Lister on trumpet and keys. And so we'll be touring all over. We're playing the Montreal Jazz Fest, the Ottawa Blues Fest, Lighthouse Blues Festival. We're headed over to Western Canada. We're going to be playing at Canmore Folk Festival. We're also playing at Badlands. And those are the band members that we've been playing some major amazing festivals this year as well. We came back from playing the Keeping the Blues Alive at Sea festival recently, where we played with Joe Bonamassa, Eric Gales, Keb Jimmy Vivino, Larry McRae, and many other great names.
So out of everything, there's also the very important bit. You're hosting the Maple Blues Awards this year.
Yes.
You must be very happy for that. Out of the blues um, family, the Canadian blues people, is there anyone in particular that you look to or towards to meeting?
Well, there's so many. It's so hard to choose just one. You know what I mean? I am really excited to be hosting the Maple Blues Awards this year. I co-hosted last year as well, but it was virtual. It wasn't the same as being able to see everyone's beautiful faces again. And I'm so happy to be participating in a live rendition of people coming together after so many years, so many faces I want to see and connect with and jam with. And I think, especially since this is a Blues Summit year as well as a Maple Blues Awards, it's going to be an amazing weekend of celebration and coming together.
Uh, well, the lucky few. The one thing I do know is that you'll have fun with everything that's happening, especially with the changes in the air. The fact that we're summer instead of winter, it changes things.
Yes.
Now, you finished high school not too long ago, and one of the things that your parents instilled in you is that because music is fluid, the music industry tends to change on an ongoing flowing basis like a long river. Uh,
Nice connection.
they wanted to make certain that you had something to fall back on in case things went sideways. And one of the things that you mentioned was that you wanted to go into computer science. Did you continue with that idea?
Well, yes, actually. I graduated in 2019 from Carleton University with a Bachelor of Music honors, and there I studied a great number of things. And so one of them was taking computer science as well. And so I studied computer science when I was at Carleton as well. And I was really happy to walk away with the highest distinction in my program for Bachelor of Music and having those other studies under my belt. I'm also I think there's so many ways in which music and technology coincide and come together. I still do contract work as an audio technician. And so dealing with technology and music, composition, a whole bunch of different avenues, music is so powerful and has so many different uses in modern day life that people aren't even aware of, that I think it's so amazing to explore those connections. As well, I also work as an actor and a voiceover artist as well. And so it's really great to be able to do multiple things while focusing on my music at the same time because of all of those connections that exist.
So, what voiceover work are you currently doing now?
Well, right now we're really busy with touring. So, but I do have a few voiceover projects um, that will be happening in at the end of July. The press releases for those haven't come out yet, but when they do, be sure to be on the lookout on my Instagram page for more. Some of the projects that I've been involved with have been the Tribeca official selection Earth Eclipse series. I also have the Life with Leo, which is an amazing production as well,
Mhm.
and various other voice acting and acting parts that you can check out my IMDb for a few more information.
Now, before I leave you, what kind? I'm pretty sure you have a hobby, but the question is, can you even find time for a hobby that you really, really enjoy?
Yes, I think as we were discussing before, music has a way of really connecting with a lot of different avenues, and so I do a lot of things and I love learning a lot of new things. And there's so many different aspects to the music industry that can be incorporated in everything that you do. I have a I love making things, and so I have a t-shirt business, and I use that to make my own merchandise. For some time, I was making earrings and selling that as well. I'm a major nerd, so I love I love all things superhero and sci-fi, and I think when we're traveling on the road, we're still able to engage in that content. We're still able to have fun, engage with each other. It really is, you know, a profession, but there's still time to engage in other things, just like a typical 9 to 5, but not 9 to 5.
Oh, okay. So basically, you're keeping yourself busy. You're doing things that help refresh the mind and the body and the spirit, so that you can continue with the music. The music itself is like not a cure-all, but very, very close to that. I use music mostly to concentrate and dance. Social dancing is my biggest pleasure when it comes to doing dance.
Oh, that's wonderful. And the way that you put it was so beautiful.
Mm. The last question I have, since we covered pretty much everything, is what's your favorite dish? I know this sounds like a weird question, but I've asked it at pretty much everyone that I've interviewed, and everyone has a different answer.
Oh, this is another hard one because I love food. I think one of the amazing things about being able to perform and travel the world and visit these different places that you wouldn't normally go if you weren't able to, experience and perform and meet people in this way is that you get to try new things all the time, new activities, new scenes, new food. Um I I absolutely love food. I think some of my favorite food is definitely Jamaican food. I am of Jamaican descent, so my father's from Jamaica, and there are just some amazing foods from Jamaica like oxtail and curry goat, dumpling. There's too much to name, but I love Jamaican food and I love trying new things as well.
Hmm. So there we have it, folks. Angelique Francis in her glory, and look for her during her tours. You can find her two albums, at least out of the three, available through Spotify. You can also get it through other means. You can even buy probably the hard copy, and I wouldn't be surprised if you have vinyl currently being made to actually promote the Angelique mantra of having fun with music.
Thank you. Yes, the album is available for physical sale on my website, angeliquefrancis.net, where you can find connections to all my other social medias as well.
There we go, folks. Angelique, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. And I hope that you have a wonderful trip to Germany and that you come back safely.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you, and thank you so much for having me.